Today, I'm going to tell you about the most dangerous cities in the United States, but with an interesting twist. We're not just going to highlight the cities that are statistically the most dangerous, we'll also delve into the cities people commonly perceive as the most dangerous. It's fact versus opinion today. I know the line between the two can be quite blurry these days, but trust me, the actual stats haven't changed. Every time we create a video like this, we receive a flood of comments saying things like, "You forgot San Francisco," or "You forgot Compton, California." One of my favorite comments is when someone tries to get street cred for their small, out-of-the-way town. They'll say something like, "You need to do more research. You didn't even mention Eggville, Mississippi. Our crime rate is high because of a gang war here." And yes, Eggville, Mississippi is a real place. It's an unincorporated area northeast of Tupelo, Mississippi, with about 30 residents. Any gang war there is probably just a feud between trailer parks. Today we're focusing on U.S. cities with the highest violent crime rates. I'm also going to include the cities that people typically think should be in those positions. Before we dive in, pause the video and leave a comment with your guesses for the top 3 cities you think are the most dangerous. Let's see if your opinions match the reality. Alright. Now let's take a closer look at these cities and uncover the surprising truths about violent crime in America. Let's take a look at number 10, Stockton, California. If you're not from Central or Northern California, you might not know much about Stockton unless you're a fan of the Diaz brothers from the UFC. They're from Stockton and proudly represent their hometown, which gives you a glimpse into the city's reputation. The Diaz brothers are famous for their toughness, mirroring the city's gritty reality. Stockton has a population of around 321,819, with a metro area totaling about 776,000. The city's violent crime rate is 11.79 per 1,000 residents, which is quite high. Interestingly, many people assume Kansas City, Missouri would hold the number 9 spot, as it has 1,311 violent crimes per 100,000 residents. However, Stockton's crime statistics push it into the spotlight. This contrast highlights how public perception often differs from reality, especially while considering cities with high crime rates. Number 9, Baltimore, Maryland. Yes, Baltimore. Everyone expected this city to appear. If you've been paying attention to the crime statistics, you knew this was coming. Many of you probably already typed Baltimore in the comments. Baltimore has long held a reputation for violence, and shows like Homicide, Life on the Street haven't helped its image. With a population of 569,931 residents and a metro area of about 2.8 million, Baltimore's violent crime rate is a staggering 2,027 per 100,000 residents, or 48.86 per 1,000. Interestingly, people often assume Detroit holds the number 3 spot. While Detroit is close, it's actually next on our list. Baltimore's persistent high crime rates have kept it in the spotlight, making it one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S. The city's struggles with crime have deep roots and continue to challenge both residents and law enforcement. Whether you're familiar with its infamous reputation or seeing the stats for the first time, Baltimore's spot on this list is well earned and reflective of its ongoing issues with violence. Number 8 on our list is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is often hailed as one of the best states to move to, but Milwaukee stands out for its high crime rate. Every time I mention Milwaukee's crime issues, I get a flood of comments. Some people insist Milwaukee isn't that bad and call me out, saying I'm wrong. Others, however, agree wholeheartedly and warn people against moving there. It's a mixed bag of opinions, but the statistics don't lie. When discussing these cities, it's crucial to rely on the numbers rather than just opinions. Milwaukee has a population of 563,305 residents, with the entire metro area housing about 1.5 million people. Despite the charm of the rest of Wisconsin, Milwaukee has a significant problem with violent crime. The city reports a violent crime rate of 1,520.1 incidents per 100,000, or 51.06 per 1,000 residents, make it a fairly dangerous place. Many people assume Memphis should be in this post. Memphis, another city with a high crime rate, often gets mentioned, but it actually ranks higher on this list. Memphis' violent crime rate is 97.64 per 100,000 residents, which is even more alarming. We'll get to Memphis later in this video, but for now, it's Milwaukee that holds the number 6 position due to its troubling crime statistics. The debate between perception and reality is ongoing, but the numbers of Milwaukee speaks for themselves. Number 7 is Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas is a dynamic and sprawling city known for its rich cultural diversity and economic vitality. However, it's also grappling with significant crime issues. With a population of 2,302,878, Houston is the fourth largest city in the United States. And with that size comes challenges, particularly in terms of safety. The city has a violent crime rate of 11.35 per 1,000 residents. The city's struggle with crime. Aggravated assault is the most common violent crime, contributing heavily to this high rate. Despite these troubling statistics, Houston has been proactive in addressing its crime problem. The city has rolled out various strategies, including community policing and targeted interventions in high crime areas. These efforts aim to not only reduce crime but also build trust between law enforcement and the community. The hope is that such initiatives will create a safer environment for all residents. Public perception often misplaces Houston in the rankings of dangerous cities, but the numbers don't lie. While some might think of cities like Chicago or Los Angeles as more dangerous, Houston's crime statistics reveal a pressing need for continued efforts to combat violence. Despite its challenges, Houston remains a city with much to offer, from its thriving art scene to its role as a major energy hub. The community's resilience and ongoing efforts to improve safety highlight the city's commitment to overcoming its hurdles and fostering a better quality of life for all its residents. Number 6 in our list is Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland is an intriguing city with a mix of charm and challenges. While I'm a fan of the Cleveland Browns, living in Cleveland is a different story. The city has about 361,607 residents, with the entire metro area housing a little over 2 million. I recall attending a comedy show by David Tell in Cleveland years ago. He humorously noted, "This city's filled with some of the dumbest people I've ever seen," and the crowd erupted in laughter, ironically proving his point. Cleveland has a high violent crime rate of 1,557 violent crimes per 100,000 residents, making it one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S. Despite its rough edges, there are glimpses of positivity, like the little garden plot at Frontier at West 61st Street, showing the community's efforts to bring some beauty to the city. Interestingly, many people assume Oakland, California would occupy this position. However, Oakland's violent crime rate is slightly lower at 1,299 violent crimes per 100,000 residents, making Cleveland's crime rate significantly higher. This discrepancy highlights how public perception often diverges from statistical reality. Cleveland, with its mix of passionate sports fans and high crime rates, remains a city of stark contrasts. Number 5, we have New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans, Louisiana is a city renowned for its rich cultural tapestry, lively music scene, and vibrant festivals. Yet, beneath the festive surface, the city grapples with a severe violent crime problem. With a population of 369,749, New Orleans faces a daunting violent crime rate of 14.46 per 1,000 residents. This rate is significantly higher than the national average, making safety a critical concern for its residents. Aggravated assault is the most prevalent violent crime in New Orleans, contributing heavily to its high crime statistics. The city's law enforcement and community leaders have acknowledged the severity of the issue and are actively working on strategies to combat it. Efforts include enhancing community policing, which fosters better relationships between police officers and the communities they serve, and increasing surveillance in high-risk areas to deter criminal activities and swiftly address incidents when they occur. Despite these efforts, the challenge remains substantial. New Orleans' crime rate of 60.98 crimes per 1,000 people underscores the urgency of continued and intensified efforts. While the city's vibrant culture and history make it a unique and beloved destination, these crime statistics highlight the importance of ongoing initiatives to improve safety and security. Residents and visitors alike are affected by the city's crime dynamics, but the community's resilience and commitment to improvement are noteworthy. By focusing on crime prevention and community engagement, New Orleans aims to create a safer environment, ensuring that its cultural vibrancy can continue to flourish without the overshadowing concern of violent crime. Number 4 is Detroit, Michigan. This probably comes as no surprise. Whenever we discuss cities facing decline or population loss, Detroit almost always tops the list. The city itself, not the metro area, peaked in the 1950 census with 1.8 million residents, growing by 13.9% that decade. Unfortunately, that was the last time Detroit saw population growth. For 7 consecutive censuses, Detroit has experienced population decline, with 4 of those seeing double-digit increases. The 1980 census recorded a 20.5% drop, 1990 saw a 14.6% drop, and 2010 marked a staggering 25% loss. By 2022, estimates showed another 2.9% decline. Detroit's violent crime rate stands at 2,057 per 100,000, or 66.09 per 1,000 residents, making it one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S. However, many people mistakenly believe that San Francisco holds the number 2 spot. This misconception likely stems from certain news outlets painting San Francisco as a crime-ridden city. While San Francisco has its issues, violent crime isn't its biggest problem. In reality, San Francisco's violent crime rate is 1,009 per 100,000 residents, which would place it around 15th or 16th on a list of dangerous cities. Before we move on to the number 1 spot, I'd like to remind you that one of the best ways to support this channel is to watch another video after this one. YouTube values viewer engagement, and watching a second video greatly helps your channel grow. So, if you have some time, please check out one of the suggested videos at the end of this one. Number 3 on our list is Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock has a reputation for being a challenging place to live, and it's been that way for a while. You know how some regions in the US want to redraw state borders? Like how folks in eastern Oregon want to become part of Idaho? Well, some Arkansans dream of shifting their borders too, handing over everything from Texarkana to Little Rock to Mississippi, maybe even stretching up to Jonesboro and giving that to Tennessee, just to create a buffer between Arkansas and Memphis. Little Rock itself has a population of about 202,864, with the entire metro area housing fewer than 750,000 people. Interestingly, despite its issues, Little Rock continues to grow. They've never had a decrease in population according to census data. Since the 1990 census, the growth has been modest, but it's still growth nonetheless. Perhaps it's because some people, especially ex-combat veterans, are drawn to the familiar sounds of gunfire. Little Rock's violent crime rate stands at 2,067.1 per 100,000 residents, a sobering statistic. Many might expect to see St. Louis, Missouri in this position. St. Louis, however, is even more dangerous with a staggering violent crime rate of 2,080 per 100,000 residents. We'll get to St. Louis later, but for now, Little Rock firmly holds the number 3 spot due to its high levels of violent crime. For number 2 on our list, we have St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis has a notorious reputation for its high crime rates, even though some areas are showing promise with revitalization efforts. The situation is exacerbated by its proximity to East St. Louis, Illinois, which is one of the worst cities in the country in terms of crime. Historically, St. Louis played a significant role as a major transportation hub for those heading west. Today, however, it's struggling with persistent crime issues. St. Louis currently has a population of about 286,578, with the entire metro area housing around 2.8 million people. Much like Detroit, St. Louis has been losing population since its peak in the 1950 census when it had 856,000 residents. In the last 7 censuses, they've seen double-digit population declines every year except for 2010 and 2020, where the losses were 8.3% and 5.5% respectively. The violent crime rate in St. Louis is alarmingly high at 2,082 incidents per 100,000, or 87.01 per 1,000 residents. Many people mistakenly think Chicago could be in this top spot due to its high number of murders. However, Chicago's vast population, 4 times that of many other cities on this list, dilutes its crime rate, making it significantly lower than that of St. Louis. This discrepancy between perception and reality is a great example of how numbers and stats can paint a different picture than what people commonly believe. Alright, on to the number 1. The most dangerous city in the United States is Memphis, Tennessee. On the US map, Memphis and Little Rock are quite close, about a 2-hour trip down the I-40. It's fascinating how regional differences in naming highways can be so pronounced. Coming from Southern California, for example, we call it the 5 freeway or the 110 freeway without using I or interstate. Different regions have their own quirks, but back to Memphis. There should be a law against having 2 such dangerous cities so near each other. Memphis is notoriously dangerous, and it's not just a reputation. The statistics back it up. Memphis has a population of around 621,056 people, with the entire metro area reaching about 1.3 million. The violent crime rate is 97.64 per 100,000 residents, which is staggeringly high. Many people might assume Los Angeles fits in this spot, thinking it's one of the most dangerous cities in the US. Surprisingly, Los Angeles doesn't even crack the top 50 most dangerous cities. Its violent crime rate is 35.91 per 100,000 residents. This is due to a few factors. Los Angeles has numerous very safe neighborhoods, and some of the historically bad neighborhoods have improved significantly. Residents have reached a point where they don't tolerate the high crime rates anymore. Another interesting aspect is the crime reporting habits in Los Angeles, particularly among the Hispanic community. There's a significant underreporting of crimes. According to a study, around 37% of crimes in Hispanic communities go unreported because many prefer to handle matters internally and have a general mistrust of the police. This phenomenon isn't unique to Los Angeles, but it's more pronounced there due to the large Hispanic population. A Pew Research study showed that in Asian communities, only about 17% of violent crimes go unreported, while in Black communities, it's around 4%, and in white communities, it's approximately 2%. These differences highlight how crime statistics can be influenced by cultural and societal factors beyond the actual crime rates. Memphis, on the other hand, doesn't benefit from such underreporting to the same extent, and the crime statistics are alarmingly accurate. The city's high crime rates and the proximity to another dangerous city, Little Rock, make this part of the country particularly concerning when it comes to violent crime. So while Memphis and Little Rock may be close neighbors geographically, they share the unfortunate distinction of being among the most dangerous places in the United States, backed up by hard statistics and lived experiences of their residents. And that's today's rundown of the most dangerous cities in the US. I hope you found the information insightful. Remember, stats don't lie, and sometimes the truth is surprising. Now, go out, have a great day, and be kind to one another.